About your history of shooting rap artists or rap, hip hop, rap, R&B.
I started with B-52's for the Yellow album. I began with New Wave, and then in the early '80s I began working with a record company called Cold Chillin'. And their first artist they had was the Tap Dance Kid. It was Alfonso Ribeiro, and that was the first album I worked on. And then Biz Markie came with some singles, and I really enjoyed Biz Markie's sense of humor. After Biz Markie, I did the Big Daddy Kane album, and then Long Live the Kane, and then some singles for Roxanne Shante, Kool G Rap, and Marley Marl, and it was quite a run. And then I was working with Island Records off and on as an art director and photographer, and I sort of developed a reputation as creating images or enhancing artist concepts, specifically with black artists. And I actually had an argument once with an artist named Lumumba Carson, or Professor X, and he called me a racist, and I said, wait a minute, you're an African born in America, that makes you Afro-American. Now I'm an American born in Africa, it makes me a merry African. And that little play on words there broke the ice, and we became good friends after that.
So, in those days, did you shoot the rap artists in a different way that you shot, say, rock bands that you were shooting at that time?
Basically, no. Basically, I always wanted to hear the music. I wanted to hear the title track or the name of the album, and I would come up with concepts or brainstorm with the artist and take their concept and refine it. A classic case is the Big Daddy Kane album, Long Live the Kane. He originally wanted to be carried in a litter with 4 black guys in front, 4 black guys in back, 8 dancing girls in the front throwing flowers, and 8 dancing girls in the behind the litter throwing flowers. And I said, Kane, this is your first album. By the time you get this production onto a 12-inch, you won't be able to see who you are. So we refined it down to he's dressed like Black Caesar, and he's got 3 courtier girls in the picture. And so that was my specialty, refining their concept into something that would work for the record companies.
Did you find that they often had that they had very defined ways of how they wanted to be portrayed themselves? Is there an overriding image that you think kind of carries through from then to the old school to now of how rap artists like to be?
Okay, within the rap genre, there's the gangster rap, and then there's the other guys. And gangster rap's probably the most popular, and with that image, you were always limited by the record stores, the record companies. Walmart refused to put rappers' images on covers, or accept the records if they had guns on the cover. So that was limiting. But trying to push the artist or trying to get what the artist wanted and still satisfy the demands of the distributors and the record company was always a challenge.
As far as not having guns on record albums and things, there's been a lot in the newspapers recently about rap music influencing, kids to, get into guns and be violent. And then a newspaper made a comment that there weren't any guns in this exhibition. I mean, do you think that that's a relevant comment to make as far as rap artists go? Do you think they want to be portrayed with guns necessarily, from your experience?
Guns are a part of their life, their culture. This is reflected in the music, not the other way around. And if you ask my opinion, it's not rap music that's influencing guns in the English culture or the American culture. It's the movies. Hello.
And are there any artists that you've kind of you've had a personal rapport with?
Absolutely. Biz Markie, I did all his album covers. Big Daddy Kane, I did all his album covers by choice. There was a few covers I slipped by me when he was with another label, but he came back all the time. I'm lucky that I have a rapport with black artists and speak their ebonics and know about their culture and never do anything that patronizes them. And it's a gift I have.
And what do you think this kind of exhibition, I don't know if there have been exhibitions like this in New York?
Not to my knowledge, ever.
Never.
This large, this broad history.
And what do you think that means for the rap world? I mean,
it's hitting prime time. Just like everything else comes to its time.
And are there any photographs here that you think that yours or other people's that you think kind of really portray very well what the rap world is about? I mean, is there anything that stands out?
My favorite photographer here, besides myself, or even more than myself, is Nitin Vidokul. But as far as portraying the culture, I don't think either Nitin or I really did that all the time. A lot of the black and white work here, especially from Jonathan Mannion, is the artist at home.
So what do you think this exhibition kind of does portray? If you were to explain what this gives to a viewer that doesn't, someone from the outside that's looking in, that doesn't know anything about rap culture, what do you think?
This is what it looks like from all levels, from the black and white in the street, in their home, in their nightclubs, to in the studio, and how the artist wants to project himself to the media.
Cool.
I think so. It's a really nice job,
So I suppose if you could just tell me your history as a photographer. You're a British person, so did you live here and photograph rap artists here and then move to New York where it's all at, or was it all a bit different?
No. I actually grew up here in England, and I moved to the United States like 8 years ago, and I've been shooting really rap artists for like the last 3 years, so I'm actually kind of like new to it. And I really enjoy it. It's great. It's great fun. But most of the work I've done is all rap artists in the States, like nobody over here, nobody anywhere else in the world, because it is very huge out there.
Yeah. Do you reckon I should try and tell them to keep it down a bit? Sorry.
Go ahead. Have you seen that new camera they brought out?
Were you a photographer before?
Yes.
But you just hadn't photographed rap artists? Who was the first person that you...
The first rap artist that I shot? Actually, it's Queen Latifah. And I think it's in the show here somewhere, I think. Anyway, it's with some smoke coming out of her mouth like this. And she was the first one that I photographed. And it was great because she was kind of like in transition to sort of going into television and sort of stepping out of the whole world. So it's kind of strange to shoot the first one is the one that's like stepping out, but she was great. That's the first one I did.
And how did you find, as far as rap artists go, were you allowed to have a vision of how you wanted to see them, or was it very much up to them? Did they have very kind of definite ideas of how they want to be portrayed to the public and stuff?
I think it depends on the nature of the artist. Like Eminem, for example, is very specific about how he likes to be seen, and he generally comes up with the idea. So that's him, and I think he's got great foresight into like where he's going, what he's doing. So he's very smart about that. Other artists really don't mind, and I generally come up with those ideas. So I'll present it to them, I'll talk to them on the phone, pick up the phone, say, Dre, this and this is what I want to do. Do you like it? And he's like, yep, it's great. As long as it's saying the right thing, and it's not sort of like diverting, your thought pattern to something else, then it's absolutely fine. I agree to it, But generally, they're pretty easy going, A lot of the ideas, as you can see, if you've gone around and seen some of the work that I've done, it's a very different type of hip hop photography that probably no one's really ever seen before. It's very modern. It's really kind of bringing in conceptual. It's almost like taking the video and then injecting all that into a still photograph, which is really cool. So I kind of think conceptually they've got such great things in the lyrics and things, which is brilliant. It brings up the whole image sort of highly. A lot of the other pictures you see are all sort of old school, shots, portraits, which is nothing wrong with that at all, and I do those as well. But I like to work with ideas, It's like concepts, like this guy here, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, bad boy running through the forest, I mean, it's not very passive, but
Could you, having worked with people like Eminem, do you understand why they get such a bad press in a way? I mean, is it interesting kind of working with them, seeing the image that a lot of the media portrays to us, Eminem the bad boy, and then seeing him in the flesh and photographing him? Is it in your head that you maybe feel that it's not fair and maybe there should be a different image portrayed, or is that not really part of it? I mean, how does that whole dynamic work?
Well, the press is the press, I mean, for the press, it's kind of, there's no such thing for the press as bad press. It's just like, news is news, and how sensationalistic you make it is anybody's guess. Like, from my point of view, I think it is always unfair, you know, when they say bad things about somebody, you know. They may be true, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to tell everybody about it, you know. It's like maybe you have a bad habit, but everybody needs to know about it, you know. And he's actually a really nice person, you know. He's very talented, and I think he's given a lot to the business, you know. He's given a lot of pleasure to people, and I couldn't see any reason why you want to come down on him. But however, you know, anything that happens, like something happens, you know, some sort of row between rappers or artists, of course the press are like so quick to pick it up, you know. And unfortunately, what you read and hear influences you no matter what. You know, a young kid thinks, hey, that's cool. You know, I could do that, and it's okay. You know.
As far as rap photography goes, oh right, sorry. Can we do that one again because there was a bit too noisy. The question was. As far as rap artists go, a lot of rap artists are portrayed very badly, and they're cause for a lot of society's ills amongst, you know, by the press. And I suppose, what do you think about that, and how do you view that, and do you see them as being in any way responsible for?
I mean, look, you know. As I said, like the press basically will, like, you know, take anything, you know, and turn it into whatever they deem, you know, they need to do with it. And I think Eminem's, you know, I can't speak for his actions in private and, you know, even in public, but, you know, he's okay. And you know, tempers fly and things sometimes happen, you know, but I would actually more like to see the press play down the sort of the violent side of it, because it's there's always some bad egg in there, you know. There's always somebody that, you know, spoils it for everybody else, you know. And I'm not saying Eminem's doing that or any of the artists are doing it, but I just think when you kind of step out of line and you forget who you are, where you came from, then things start to kind of go. So there's a lot of power games going on too, you know. So you understand, it's one of the reasons why these things happen.
And as far as they go, as rap artists go, do they want to have very definite images of themselves, not to be like, you know, Dr. Dre's a rap artist? Do you think people like Eminem have a very clear idea of who they are as a rap artist? They're not just a rap artist, they are a specific, you know, I am Eminem. Do you think they have an idea and they want to portray their whole personality through you know, through being with a photographer like you? Do they have that kind of separation from?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, there are obviously some artists, some rap artists that, you know, work consistently with a photographer because they like working with that person, because, you know, they feel comfortable with them, or they feel like it's giving them the image, you know. I mean, it's like U2, you know, they have Anton Corbijn all the time shooting all this stuff, right? They feel very comfortable with him, because why would you want to, if you're happy with someone, why would you want to change it, you know? Unless you're unhappy with it, or you're bored. So, I think, you know, all the rap artists, you know, how they become characters as we see them is an evolving thing, you know. It's personality, you know. It's something that just grows as you grow, you know. If you look at Jay-Z when he first started, and you look at Jay-Z now, it's totally different. It's very different. You know, there was a kid who's trying to make it, you know, off the streets, and now he's, you know, he's like a mogul. He's like a huge. He produces, you know, he's expanding all the time. And then once you start that snowball, you can't stop it. You know, why would you want to stop it? It's just like this energy that they have such a presence when you meet them, especially when they're in a sort of at their sort of, I wouldn't say peak, because they're still growing and evolving, you know. But, you know, Eminem has a presence, Dre has a presence, you know, Snoop Dogg, you know, Ice Cube, they all do that. And I think what it is, it's all the character, everything they have is all from the streets, you know. It's all from, it's life's lessons, you know.
And does it surprise you? I mean, we were talking to another photographer. As far as he knows, there hasn't been an exhibition like this in New York, and this is the first one in London. Does that surprise you? What? Excuse me. Should I go and say something?
No, it's capital.
Yeah. It's just too much. Does it? Oh right. Does it surprise you that something like this hasn't happened before now? It surprises me as far as how big some of these artists are. You know.
It does surprise me a lot, in fact, because it's a huge business, or it's become a huge business. You know, you've got a lot of young rappers coming out, and a lot of rappers have been there for a long time, and it's interesting because there are a lot of hip hop magazines, right? There have been some hip hop books written about hip hop and its history and its development and all that stuff, but it does surprise me, and the hip hop immortal, hip hop immortal brands that did this, that made this book, put up the show. Done such an incredible job. And I think it's kind of like it's great. It's like it's about time people really saw. The only other thing I would love to have with all this stuff is like some sort of writing, next to it, so people can really kind of understand, maybe like a bio of what this person, where they came from, Yeah, I think it is the biggest sort of exhibition that's been done of its kind.
Do you think there's a reason why it hasn't been done in New York? Do you think there's any, or is it just something that people haven't thought about doing?
Well, there was a launch for the book when it first came out, and but the extraordinary thing is it really wasn't with photographs or anything. It was just basically like loud music. A lot of the artists came, the place was packed, it was done. New York probably will happen, and then it shot up. We've done Japan, Australia, now London, which I think is really key. Because I see a lot of people are being nominated for the Brit Awards. A lot of the acts are actually hip hop, which is really showing something, And it's going to be great. It's going to grow bigger and bigger. Actually, it's expanding. It's just like kind of and once you set the trend, and once you set the route for everything, others will follow. Somebody's going to get the idea up there, but I think I welcome it.
Can you tell me about, I don't know, maybe one or two other photographs that you have here that have a story to them, or an artist that you particularly like, or that you like photographing? Yeah.
Well, there's maybe a couple of really interesting stories. I mean, first of all, Dr. Dre. Dre for me is, is an amazing person, and he's responsible for a lot of these artists' development, I met him, I shot him. I did an album for him, which was his first album, like for 7 years. It just came out, quite recently. And he called, we talked, and we discussed the ideas, and I came up with the idea of him running through fire. It was basically, that was supposed to be the cover. Actually, it was a cover of a magazine. It ended up being that. And the idea was him being a phoenix rising out of the flames, and then the other shot is with him going through a wall of water, which is on the street, and the idea is like, Dre's arrived, he's back, but no one knows where he's going from here. You don't actually see his destination. So that was a great shoot. We shot that in LA, and Dre showed up. Just absolute professional. Love that man. Just like, okay, let's go. What do you want to do? Showed him. We shot it 2 hours. He was out and gone. The other one is LL Cool J, which I guess you're going to go around and take some shots of it. It's actually him running through a time tunnel. It's like a time warp. It's a little disc, and it's him in the 80s, and it's him now, but dressed in different clothes. And I just love that picture very much because, if you look at Run DMC and you look at like how they all kitted themselves out and the whole look, with Adidas, and then now it's all very different. It's denim, and I don't know. It's like it's great. It's like a fashion statement, and I like that. It's fun. So those two were fantastic. We've shot them both in LA. LL Cool J, wonderful guy. Of course, he acts now, and they're all acting. They're amazing performers.
Since there's one more question, the exhibition has had a lot of press in London,
yes.
and really good press. One of the comments that was made was that there aren't any guns in any of the pictures, and I was just wondering what your viewpoint is on that, whether it's a relevant statement to make that there aren't any guns, or whether that's kind of fair enough because rap music is kind of synonymous with violence, and in a lot of people's, in everyday people's minds that maybe don't know the culture, or
Well, I think that it's good that somebody made that statement. I think it's a good thing. Maybe in the sense of like saying, hey, listen, no one ever really thought about it, but I don't think there should be any guns on the face of this planet, let alone in the hip hop show. Just shouldn't have them. unfortunately, guns have been around forever, you know. What are they used for? To fight wars, you know. That's the first purpose. So, you know, I'm really happy to see that they're not shown here. It's not a good message, you know, as I'm sure we're all aware. I think, you know, it's just enough. Life is so beautiful, like just to be able to create and have the talent to do what these guys do, what I do, even, you know. So what do I need to carry a gun for? Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of power, right, that goes with this game. And once you reach sort of a very high level, the stakes are high. And if you're up there, and somebody doesn't like you, well, you know, that's when you start getting all these things happening. You know? And so I think it's terrible that, you know, Tupac and, you know, Famous J, you know, these poor chaps just big partners, you know, just completely get, you know, taken off. But it takes one to provoke one, you know. So once it started, it started. There's East Coast, West Coast. I mean, to be honest, 90% perhaps everyone lives in peace. You know? They all respect each other, they all love each other. Just a few of them spoil it for everybody. And for every hip hop show I've been to, you know, in LA, the Source 2000 Awards, 2002 Awards, you know, that's the first message that's always put out. It's like, you know, hip hop is a great thing. It's a great cultural thing for the kids to kind of like, you know, take. It's an expression of your life, you know. It's put in form for you in rhythm, and you know, music is a great thing, of course. But don't screw it up for everybody else. You know, just do the right thing. You know what to do. You know this is good and this is bad, so do the right thing. You know?
And do you think, I mean, it covers a huge span of, like, you know, old school artists and new artists and everything. Do you think there's anything that you would, if you could, you know, curate your own exhibition of hip-hop photographs, do you think there's anything that you would say is missing, either people-wise or maybe the way that they're portrayed?
Yeah, do you know actually what I would love to see, which is very kind of interesting. And now I don't know how a lot of these pictures are taken because I wasn't there, I didn't shoot them. But I would love to see, which is very private, but I would love to see, you know, pictures at home or pictures with the family or with the kids, or just kind of all like, or for example, like, you know, where they grew up. You know, what kind of environment it was. Probably changed a lot since, you know, from then to now, but kind of more like a reportage essay of where these guys grew up, you know, where they came from. It's like, you know, if you did it here, well, so what would it be, like East End or something? I don't know. You know, somewhere where there's like a lot of poverty, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of things that could influence you to, you know, draw a really strong character, you know, become very tough, you know, like James Cagney, didn't he like guns? So yeah, that's what I would like to see. But these are portraits, you know, some of them, as you can see, like, you know, they do show that, but I'd like to see more of that. Because you see, there's a lot of posing going on here, you know, which is fine, because they're done for very different things, you know, magazines, CD covers, whatever. But yeah, that's what I like to see.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And yeah, I like the exhibition.
information on that.
There aren't any other major ones in that wall, really.
So if it's two-shot, then when he's next to it to his left, you see full frame of walls.
Yeah, cool.
Obviously, the landscape ones are better for me than portrait shape.
Yeah, yeah.
What about Big EN and Mosey D? Is he playing?
Thank you. What was one of them? What about for the
She just finished off her interview and
Okay, yeah.
You can't get the whole picture because it's new aspects.
Yeah.
The blue one on the left is next to it.
Yeah, this is yeah. Yes. Along with your Dr. Dre, Chelsea, Janet Flash.
Yeah, money, yeah. Money, yeah. Girls miss your focus on backgrounds in there.
Okay. I know. Well, let's just. Yeah.
Alright, there you go.
No.
Well, basically it's become kind of it's becoming a real fashion statement and also a statement of wealth and a statement of success.
Again, just tell me a brief history of your photography and